Welcome to the Burning Gas Podcast, episode number 4. I'm your host, Ankush.
We're back, Chris. Welcome back to the pod.
All right, so a little controversy about the thing we talked about a couple of podcasts ago is about my electrified car.
Yeah, electrified car.
If we need to figure out, I said, how do we figure out how to charge these cars without as they're driving?
Yep.
So there's no. Now, a lot of people said alternators, and there's a lot of suggestions, and
or no EVs at all. We don't. What are we doing with EVs?
And a lot of people said solar panels, and
yeah,
that's interesting, but that might make the car too hot, or just not sustainable for a long distance. And apparently, doing some digging, and
yeah, I started researching a little bit on it. Just we love comments, so thank you for everyone that's
thank you for the contribution
on social media and that's giving us feedback, good or bad. We love it all. We're just two guys here having a good time, talking about automotive, talking about business, talking about life, right? So I did see someone that commented like, hey, you guys should probably do a little more research. And hey, there's definitely things where not every topic are we saying is backed by research. Some is just opinion, right? Some is how we feel, how we think. Auto bro science, exactly. But we did do a little research. I saw a comment out there talking about, hey, this is happening. There are tests being ran out there if you did a little research. And look, it wasn't, start Google searching and doing some digging. It wasn't like there was articles everywhere about it, but I did find an article from a trustworthy source. I was talking about, that there is testing happening, private facilities, on tracks. It's actually Detroit, Michigan, made an announcement. Basically, over the next 2 years, this was end of 2022, that they plan to embed technology in the pavement so they can charge electric vehicles while they're being driven, right? So the wireless system will be the first U.S. test of so-called inductive charging on public roadways, is what they say. And look, we know that this electromatic inductive charging, it's common. You can put your phone on something, right? It charges up for you. Got a device on my computer in the office. I put it on there, it charges for me, right? That's basically the same thing. We're just doing it in a roadway. The other thing is, this is not like free transportation. So just because you have an EV, doesn't mean you're getting rid of paying for gas, and you're still going to pay for kilowatts, right? So in this article, they mentioned that basically drivers will be prompted, and I'm sure in a safe way while driving, if they want to pay to drive on these roads and have their car be charged, right? So they can decline or they can accept, and it's just like paying for it at an EV charger, except you don't have the inconvenience of stopping and having to charge your vehicle, right? So I would personally, if I had an EV, I would pay to keep going, right? Versus let me stop for a certain amount of time and take a break to charge my car. I'd rather keep the trip going, right? But I think it is cool. I mean, it doesn't sound like it's going to be, right? It's not going to be every road in America. It's not going to be your back dirt roads, right? It's going to be major travel paths, highways, certain sections where, maybe for 30 miles, 50 miles, there is no charging, but you can follow a route, and that for this next 50-mile stretch, you're going to have charging of your car. Right, and that'll give you the ability to keep going. So it's cool. It's out there, and they're not the only state apparently. Florida, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Utah officials have also planned to test. This doesn't mean it's happening, right? And even this one says that really on the public roads in Michigan, they were shooting for fall of 2023. It is mid 2023, so hopefully we'll see something come out from that. But I agree. I think some benefits of that, right, are twofold. Transportation of shipping costs of trucking companies, right? So large batteries, extended range batteries.
Imagine driverless trucks while they charging on roads that charge the truck itself, and the robots loading the equipment into the truck. I've never seen that human.
20, 30 years, man, it's probably all possible, right? We'll be old and we'll be like, this actually came to be reality. Wow. But yeah, I think that it's definitely going to.
I think we'll be that old before we see that.
No, I don't either. But it's going to be advanced, but it's going to take time. There's going to be legal things that go into it. States are going to have to allow certain things to happen, right? So they're going to have to authorize driverless, trucks with large cargos. coming through their states and how that works. But I'm sure it'll all be worked out in the longer. I do think it just benefits the American people, though. Look, I don't know where I necessarily stand on if I love EVs, if I hate EVs, if I'm neutral. I think if you want an EV, get an EV, right? I think it's your choice. And eventually it may not be a choice that you have, in the next decade, 15 years, as automakers talk about. They're not going to start making them, right? I think there needs to be until they can. But look, this is a way to decrease costs. You don't need longer. If roads are charging, right? If they have this inductive charging capability and it works, you don't need the extra long battery, which costs a lot more money. So instead of spending trillions of dollars, which is some of these articles I read, it's like, look, you're going to spend trillions of dollars anyways on these bigger batteries. You're going to spend less with smaller batteries and putting that money into the roads, right? And that's going to lead to the people maybe being able to pay less for bread, right? Inflation's a big deal in today's world, right? If trucking costs go down and they can truck more efficiently and ship our goods without having to worry about rising gas, and we get some of that control back on our roads, maybe your eggs cost less. Maybe the furniture costs less because it costs less to get it there, right? Sure. So I think it benefits in not only personally, but in the everyday things you encounter in your life.
The charging needs to be that if you drive a mile, it charges a mile.
Yes.
Actually, it charges a little bit more than a mile. So you always are running in a non-deficit.
Yeah. Or even quicker than that, because if it stretches, if it's not the whole road, all the roads right across America, and you have to go 50 miles without getting a charge, then it probably has to be more efficient, right, than the 1-to-1. It might have to be 5-to-1 or 4-to-1 that they could charge it, because you're going to go through stretches you don't get charged. And now it needs to make up for that time.
Have different ratios.
Look, they have superchargers, right? They have fast chargers. They have standard chargers.
Ratios.
Yeah.
You can pick the degree of charge you want.
100%. And hopefully that's affordable, right? For most people driving, but it's definitely coming.
It was just a thought I had, and it's actually a real possibility. So somebody is already working on that.
Yep.
And it can be done.
Yeah, it can be done. So we'll see where it goes. I think it's funny too. Like, we look at Toyota in the industry as being a flagship manufacturer, right? They're always known for being the gold standard, right? They sell the most cars. They know when to pivot, right? They came out with the Prius when no one was thinking about hybrid technology, and they've always been big in hybrids. I know recently they had the CEO change. They had the gentleman that had been there a while step down because he got a lot of flack for saying that, hey, we're going to just mostly focus on hybrid, and hybrid's our future, and now they've pivoted. Recently saying, hey, by 2025, they're going to have 10 electric cars ready to go that they're going to be selling. I think they plan by 2050 is when they plan on being fully electric. So it's a long ways out. They've stretched it further than a lot of manufacturers. A lot of manufacturers are saying, 2030, 2035. Toyota's like, hey, we're still going to be making hybrids. We're still probably some gas cars. But they're definitely transitioning towards electric too. So even the biggest automaker, the one that every manufacturer looks at, is starting to lean in that direction where they hadn't been. They've been really, hey, hybrid's better. This is better. It's safer for the environment. And now they're changing their ways. Yeah, right? Yeah, they are. So.
Yeah, EVs are coming.
Yeah.
Toyota's in it, and they're gonna do it right. Toyota, it's a great company to study. Lots of great books written on their style of manufacturing.
Yep.
And how the efficiency of manufacturing. They're pioneers, and a lot of the principles are used in many companies and still to today.
Yeah. Yeah, they know what to build, right? They know what's going to sell. They know they're not inefficient. I think I saw something.
Not only that, it is the efficiency of manufacturing they have. And the management styles they have it has become almost a religion in some companies.
Sure. Support. I agree with that.
All right, so I want to talk about there's a couple of themes that we're going to continue in this podcast, and one of the themes is what makes a good salesperson.
Sure.
And it is just not one thing. It is not just closing deals makes you a great salesperson. I know we have a segment, Close of the Week.
Where
we talk
I love that segment.
Tracks to help salespeople out there, but it takes more than that. You're closing in almost every step of the way.
Sure.
And a lot of it, there's so much of it is just your mindset. It is so much of it is your attitude and how you approach your day, how you approach each situation, how you approach customers. And one of the things I want to talk about is what makes a great salesperson is not prejudging customers.
Yes, I agree with that.
Not prejudging customers. That is a thing that salespeople do, and it has every salesperson out there has a story where they judged a customer and lost a deal over it. Probably lost a lot of money over it. And they all regret it. They're like, man, I probably should have taken that up. And a lot of times they had the opportunity to take that up.
Yep.
But it is that 1 millisecond of thought, that might not be a deal. And that 1 millisecond has cost so many people so much money.
100%.
And in your mind, there can be never prejudgment. They can never be prejudging a customer. You need to approach each deal with the same enthusiasm. And the worst case is you will learn something from the deal, about how to approach your customer better, how to say things better, or to learn some product knowledge that you didn't know before. Because some customers will put you through it, and you will learn some things. And the best case is you get a deal. What else are you going to be doing?
That's what you're there for, right?
Most of the time, salespeople, they sit at their desk, they're like typing, usually on their phone, maybe looking at some TikTok. They look up, car park, customer. But they don't approach.
Yeah.
I want to go into that salesperson brain in that moment and go in there and listen to, all right, what is their brain saying right now? What is going on in their brain right now that is not causing them to get up and talk to that customer?
Oh, they're driving an old car. They can't afford what we got here.
Whatever the thought is.
They're going to not have good credit.
I want to hear that thought. I want to go talk to them. Hey, listen, don't think that. That is a wrong way to think about this. That is a completely wrong way to look at this deal. That customer probably bought that car. We've traded many cars that are 2023 brand new cars that just did a deal today. 2023 traded for a 2023.
Yeah.
It happens I cannot think of a single reason where you would prejudge a customer and not approach them. I cannot think of a single one.
It's your job to sell cars, right? It's your job.
You see a person approach and
try to sell them.
Get up and talk.
And I think you're right, is spot on about, treat everything the same, right? Put your same energy, your same enthusiasm into everything, because customers can tell when you're prejudging them. Even if you waited to approach them, but then just the things you say, the way you act towards a deal, maybe you just act more casual, or you don't think they can buy the car. Maybe you don't think they have the funds or the finances or the job to be able to pay for it. And they can just feel that you're treating them that way, right?
If you have that prejudgment going into the deal, you're going to have it.
You're going to have it while you're doing it, 100%.
You're going to have it. You're going to treat them differently.
Yep.
Your brain can't help it. You need to erase the part of your brain that thinks that you're wasting time.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean you're wasting time? What you rather be watching TikTok?
Probably.
You'd rather be watching season 5, episode 3.
Got to catch up on their seasons at work, man. Every salesperson does it, right?
Yeah.
All our salespeople out there.
I mean, everybody does it.
Yeah.
Everybody does it.
But they're long. They can be long days. But that's your job.
Everything else drops. You see a customer. Everything else drops. You approach that customer. It needs to be like a robot.
Yeah. I've seen one sales guy grab 4 customers while 4 other salespeople watched the other 3 customers show up and walk around the lot. And I'm thinking, what are you guys waiting for? Are you thinking that they don't have all the parties there? They're driving an old vehicle. They can't. Oh, they're just looking like they're on the freaking lot, man. No one comes to a dealership lot. Hey, does any people that aren't in automotive, do you just like to go to dealership lots? Would you actually like to get out of your car, right, and actually walk the lot, knowing you're going to be approached by somebody? People don't do that if they don't want to buy a car.
Some sort of interest in a car.
Yeah, you're obviously looking at cars, right? So, hey, it's your job. Go get them. I agree with you.
Combine 100%. That with the right salesperson, with the right enthusiasm. I promise you, it's going to be. You made deals where you didn't think you would make deals.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I wonder how many deals salespeople lost because they didn't have the right attitude, because they thought the customer was wasting their time.
Sure.
Maybe the customer is just, going. If they get that treatment from you, and then they go down the street and they find another salesperson, another dealership, that gives them a complete opposite experience.
Yeah.
They're more likely to buy from that salesperson. I mean, if they both, especially new car dealerships, they both have the same cars, and one salesperson, a horrible experience, another salesperson, terrific experience, where would they buy from? A lot of times it's not hard to match car deals. They're in a competitive area. You're selling them.
100%.
There's dealerships every 10 miles. Not hard to match.
Look, I think it's not even just right approaching customers on the lot, but like working a customer on the internet, right? Taking a phone call. How often do you God, they just keep asking me questions like, why haven't they came to buy this? They're not real serious about buying a car. They're not a buyer, right? They're just shopping, or they're researching just because they aren't buying at that second, right? Like we've gotten to such a point, I feel like, in a lot of car dealerships that people just expect instant gratification. Yeah, for a couple years, it was the only question you were asked is the car available? Yes, it is. Okay, perfect. I'm coming to buy it. I'll be there. Make sure it's still there, right? Do you need a deposit? What do you need? And then it was just an easy deal, right? It's not the way it is anymore. People have choices. There are cars out there. So I think and even with phone calls, like I've never understood the whole, oh yeah, they're looking for this car and we can't even order this car for 7 months. Well, hey, no one else can either. Maybe you should educate the customer about that and maybe offer them an alternative. Or hey, get them into your 7-month pipeline, right? Like you're going to be here in 7 months from now, aren't you? Why do you feel like that's a waste of time? And I think there's a lot of dealers that treat customers that way, and you'll hear from customers that place orders from us. Yeah, no one even knew anything about it. No one wanted to help me. I called 12 dealers, and they didn't feel like it was worth their time because it wasn't a sale at this moment, right? You got to not just think short term. You got to approach your business for 12 months as a year as a salesperson, right?
Yeah, it goes back to not just accepting the first no.
Yeah.
Finding another way. Just find another way, and in the end, the customer's gonna be like, man, you really went out of your way to help me find the right car. You just did not give up. And those end up being car deals. We make so many deals there that take months.
Sure.
And we make so many deals that take a few minutes. And you need both. You can't just rely on the deals that take a few minutes.
No, 100%.
You need the ones that grind out. I mean, truly, that's where the real salesmanship is. Anybody can sell a car where you have the right car at the right price. They come in, hey, the car available. Okay, I'll come in.
Yeah, you've got the hot car in the moment that there's not a lot of, and people will pay for that, right? Supply and demand. But they have choices. You need to be a salesperson. And we see, some salespeople that get more of those long-term deals, right? Where, hey, I was just doing simple follow-up. I was just, I just stayed in front of them. And at the end of the day, the customer would come back to them and say, look, I still do want a truck. I'm back in the market now. This happened. This took me out of the market. You're the only guy that's still bothering me and talking to me, so I'd like to do business with you. We have some, I'm not going to say names, but I've 2 or 3 people like that I know get a lot of long-term deals, right? And I think that's also where you can have AI help a salesperson out, right? That can do some of those soft touches long-term.
I want to rely on AI. I know it's a great backup tool.
Sure.
But you need to be in complete control of your income.
Yep.
And that is by doing a real follow-up.
Sure.
And,
still need to do your real follow-up. 100%.
Getting in front of people. Not only that, it's the same thing with phone ups. Why do phones ring? Why do salespeople look at caller ID before answering?
Yeah, I never understood that.
Phone rings, you should pick it up.
Yep.
Worst case, it's not for you. It's not a sales call, and we'll transfer it to the appropriate party.
Sure.
But don't even wait a second. Again, no judgment. If you need that the part of their brain where they're thinking, what if, that part needs to just stop working.
Yeah, you'll hear some salespeople. They'll be like, oh, so and so, that's for you. Like, so they took the time to read the number, digest it in their mind, realize whose customer that was, and they don't want to pick the phone up. They want them to pick it up. Well, dude, it's probably rang 4 times by the time that's happened, right? Just pick the phone up, and you wonder why some people get more phone ups than other people, right? It's the ones that probably think that way, that have that attitude about a phone call, where a lot of them are going to be things that aren't sales, or they're going to be things that I don't deal with directly, and that doesn't benefit me. So I'm just not going to worry about answering it that often, and then they don't get many phone calls at the end of the month. They're the ones that think it's slow when really it's not slow. They just aren't grasping the opportunity that's in front of them. Right?
They're always the ones, the ones that don't get in front of people, that don't grab every opportunity. There's always the ones that complain.
Yep.
End up quitting and getting fired.
100%.
They are always complaining about the dealership, management.
Don't get enough opportunities.
The word fed, unfair. These are the type of words they speak.
Yeah.
And they're usually losers.
Yeah, like I don't think spoon fed is a thing, right? Like a house deal. Like there's a reason someone got that deal. It's because they put the work in. They earned that deal by doing their job the right way, right? those kind of deals are usually rewarded to people that are working hard, doing their job. So they're not just a freebie. It's been earned by doing the right things the right way. Salesperson.
Yeah, and also eliminate the freebies if you can. You need to share managers.
Yeah.
Need to share everything with your salespeople. All the numbers need to be shared with them. How many leads everyone has. How many phone ups, walk-in. All the numbers need to be tracked and shared. And again, I believe 99% of dealers are not.
I swear, no. I mean, they're not putting it transparently for the salespeople, right? Because they're scared of conflict. They're scared of this will come out in the light. They'll realize that Tommy's my favorite salesperson, right? And but it's going to make you a better manager, right? If you're a manager listening, it'll make you do your job better and more fairly. And you're going to be looking at you need everyone to survive, right? If you need to sell 300 cars, you need maybe 12 salespeople, right, to do that. You can't have 6 of them quit on you. Then what are you going to do? Are you going to go backwards? So you need everyone. You need to keep them. You need to keep them all happy. You need to give them opportunities. Make sure there's a fair shake. And reporting does that. And a lot of times it's like you said. It's the things that, hey, we don't control if you pick the phone up. We don't control if you go out there and say hi. Why did one person grab 4 people when there's 4 of you looking at them? You let him take 4 people because you didn't get up and go outside. Yeah. Is that our fault or is that your fault? Sometimes you got to take accountability, right? And then I always say, keep a positive attitude, man. You cannot ever get down. You can't waste a day thinking about how life's unfair. You know what? If it's unfair, then go out there and get more opportunities.
You
right?
Can't waste an hour.
Yeah.
You're down in the dumps and the right customer pulls up and you have that attitude, it's over.
Yeah. It's always easier to sell when you're selling.
Always able to reset.
Yep.
All right, this thing happened. My deal fell through. Customer renegotiated. Whatever the reason is, I have this opportunity in front of me, so I'm going to go for it.
And Kush, we were just talking, and you were talking about how it's important, to be a good salesperson, how to not prejudge customers. Every opportunity is an important opportunity, right? You're there to sell cars, and I kind of want to pivot that into what everyone knows is going on, right? And kind of do a state of the economy and how I think it's going to affect the car business over the next 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years, right? So, where are we at right now? Something I just saw from Apollo where it said that the delinquency rates for credit card borrowers are approaching 2008 levels, right? So we all know how the economy was in 2008 and what went down then, right? That's fact one. Fact two, things we've been seeing just recently. Banks are tightening up lending, right? Everyone knows rates are increasing. The Fed's obviously increasing rates. They're trying to fight inflation. They're trying to, over time, by raising rates, bring inflation down, right? Well, with that, banks have to start limiting risks. So in automotive, that's starting to affect dealers, right? We're seeing Pentagon Federal just recently released that they are deactivating certain dealers from their indirect lending program, meaning they will no longer supply loans for those car dealerships, right? And there are some dealers out there. Our dealership is lucky that we have lots of banks to choose from, right? And maybe over time we lose some partnerships because they won't lend in a certain region. But I think this is going to first affect the independent dealers out there more, right? The dealers that have to really earn those banks, that don't have a manufacturer behind them backing them up, right? If an independent loses 3 or 4 of their key banks, they only have 6. They have a lot less options for the customers, right? They can't get you as good of financing. They can't stay as competitive. They're also seeing rising interest rates on their floor plan as well. And if you're a dealership that floor plans your inventory, you pay interest on your cars every month. When these rates rising, you really need to sell your cars even faster, which is harder to do in an economy that we realize is slowing down. We're seeing signs of, you see outlooks. I'm on a spglobal.com website where, they're talking about the GDP growth and, how maybe we're not in a recession yet. Maybe we are in a recession, but we're headed for some form of a recession, right? And people have less money, right? Credit card delinquencies are rising. They can't afford to buy a car, right? More customers are actually repairing their vehicles. So as a salesperson, you really better be on top of your game because it's not going to be as easy as it was 2 years ago to hit your goal and hit your objectives, right? But if you can make yourself, the person they remember or the person they want to buy from because you are trained and you have your product knowledge, you can actually be the expert in your product, right? You're the person that's answering their questions when they ask them. You're not waiting a day. to answer their questions, or it was your day off. Sorry, we couldn't help you there. You really need to lean in and take advantage of every opportunity, and believe that if a customer is making the decision to shop for a car right now, they're probably a serious buyer, right? There's not going to be as many tire kickers, right? Tire kickers, people dream more when they have the ability to maybe meet those dreams, right? People dream less when they don't have the ability. And right now, people, their savings are going down, their credit cards are going up, right? They're not making more money, but everything costs more across the board. My grocery bills are outrageous compared to what they used to be. I thought my wife was just out there, spending money willy-nilly. And then I went grocery shopping and I was like, geez, this used to be like,
Get out more.
it used to be 3 weeks of groceries. Now it's 5 days of groceries for the same price. What is going on here? So everyone's feeling that pain, right? And that's definitely going to affect the car business. I do think it's going to be tough. I don't think anyone's really painting any pretty pictures of that. It's just going to keep being easy to sell cars. There's also the fact that there's less used cars out there, right? And we're starting to finally feel the effects of that inventory shortage, right? And we still have an inventory. I mean, manufacturers still are not producing as many cars as they used to produce, right? So this has now been 2.5 years of inventory shortages. Well, now we're starting to see those 2.5-year-old cars that would have been traded less and less every year, right? That's just going to start impacting things. That hasn't even really played into the equation yet, right? Has been a decent supply of cars until recently, where now it's definitely tightening. But even with that, you're seeing that. I think this week's auction reports, some major auctions had 52% no sales, right? So 52% of the cars they ran across their lanes weren't being bought by dealers, and wholesale prices are declining with less cars available, right? So that just shows that the demand isn't quite as high as it was. There's not, people are still shopping, they're still looking. Maybe it's going to take them longer to buy. You need to stick with your customers as a salesperson, stay with them long term. I know I've read Cars.com articles where they've talked about the increased buying cycle and how a lot higher percentage of shoppers are shopping for 45 days, 60 days, and more. So it's not just the people that are buying a car right now, right? You need to fill your pipeline up as a salesperson, have all phases of customers. You'll have your short term, you'll have your medium term, you have your people that maybe they are really in the beginning, and you want to be the one that's there for them in the end. That's how you're going to increase your goals. But that's kind of my state of the union. Those are my 3 facts that I kind of want to talk about. And I think the other thing to pivot on that is dealerships really need to lean on an acquisition strategy, right? If there are less cars produced and we're starting to feel those effects, and the cars at auctions are the cars that dealers don't want, right? Because that's the reason they're at auction. That dealer couldn't sell it. That dealer couldn't retail it to a customer. Now they're hoping someone else takes it and can retail it. Dealerships need to develop a great process. They need to have buyers and people that can go on the street, try to purchase cars, purchase from their service drive. Offer customers, hey, would you like to know how much your car is worth? Just a simple question. It doesn't need to be, do you want to partake in our trade down event where we can get you in the same car for the same payment? No, I mean, maybe a customer does want to sell their car. Maybe they're hurting for cash right now and their car's paid off and it's a third vehicle that they're in for service on. It could be a car you could sell in your used car department. Why not ask them a simple question, right? That's the one thing I would recommend, getting your service drive and ask customers, would you like to know how much your car's worth? Maybe set up a kiosk in your service drive, right? With a sign, value my car. What's my car worth? We'll buy it from you. Whatever you want to do, but just make it easy. Make it something customers want to do when they're sitting there spending 45 minutes, an hour waiting for an oil change and tire rotation to be done. And I think you need to treat, right? If you're going to invest in an acquisition strategy, you need to have the processes, because it's a waste of money to advertise that we'll buy your car, come see us, and then customer submits information, takes all the time, and then no one wants to deal with that customer. I've seen that in plenty of dealerships. Oh, that's a car that they don't want to buy a car. They just want to sell a car. That's not a good lead. That's a good lead for the used car department to acquire a car. Someone needs to be responsible for those.
Yeah. So 2 takeaways from that. One is going back to what you said about banks tightening up auto lending.
Yep.
Finance managers need to probably be really good at getting deals bought. They need to start right now establishing great relationships with all their buyers.
Sure.
And I've personally seen over and over again one finance manager is able to get a deal done while the other one's not able to get a deal done, and then that is just relationships.
Yep.
And so if you you need to find you have a few banks. You need to be, first of all, really good at knowing your programs.
Yep.
Knowing if auto lending is tightening, you're losing banks, you're going down to a few banks. You need to understand what structure is going to get a deal done. And a savvy finance manager, they're able to get that done. So all finance managers need to be great at getting deals done.
Yeah.
That is the only way forward with that. Otherwise, you will lose a lot of deals.
Yeah, 100%.
Have great relationship with the buyers, man. I know they can be tough dealing with some banks, and you don't really want to sweet talk to people when you're middle of a deal and this customer's waiting, but find a way.
Sometimes you got to throw them a bone, right? You got to give a few deals, right? Maybe you haven't given enough deals.
Sure.
Hey, I got you. Help me out here. We're a busy store. We'll get you some more deals.
Pick a few banks, send them a lot of deals, and have them do such favorable terms.
I know when I look, I'm on the marketing side here. We've talked about this. You're on the sales management side, but in my past I've done finance, right? I've built relationships with bankers, and I used to have guys I could call. I had their cell phone numbers. They weren't even working that day. They were in their basement.
Sure.
Hey man, it's Chris. I've sent you 40 deals so far this month. I've really got one that got declined, but I need your help. Right? This situation is a good customer. They bought 5 cars from us. They had this hardship that happened here. We really need your help. I need to get them favorable terms, and it's not a crazy callback. I'd always get help, right? And then I would send them some good deals. I'd send them my top tier deals I know they wanted. But I when I did finance, I did have 3-4 banks. I sent the majority of my deals, and it was about 60% to one, 25% to another, 20% to one, and then a few to another one, just to have options. But I was able to get a lot of deals bought because I had the relationship. I could call somebody, I could text them. Hey man, can you just hop in that? This guy, these 5 guys looked at it, they declined it, but I'm not calling the 1-800 number, man. You're my guy, right?
If as a finance manager you're not texting at least a few bankers, you ain't doing it right.
No, 100%.
You're not getting the best terms.
No, you're not really.
That's your sign. If you're not texting with your bankers, I mean you're just not getting the best terms.
You're not.
You're leaving money on the table.
Yeah.
The second takeaway from that, you said used car buying strategy. Every dealership needs to right now start thinking about a department that buys cars, a focused department that buys cars. Now, do you need to have a separate pay plan just for buying cars? Hey, if you sell a car, this is how much you get paid.
Sure.
If you buy a car, this is how much you get paid. Listen, would you pay a salesperson $200 for every car that they buy from the street or buy from any of their leads? I mean, I assure you, the profit you make from that and the amount of deals you get from these extra deals that you wouldn't normally get.
And look,
you're not asking salespeople to hit the auction. These are just extras.
I'll be honest with you too. I've talked to people, and I don't think $200 excites many salespeople on just trying to put the work of buying a car, right, versus trading a car. But I think you get to $400. You're like at an enhanced flat.
Sure.
Because look, you got to look at it this way, right?
Figure it out.
You buy it at auction, right? You're paying an auction fee. You're paying $700. You're paying $1,000 to ship it there. You're paying a post-sale inspection fee. By the time you leave that auction, you've already spent like $2,400, right, on that $40,000 car. So would you rather just really incentivize them to really care about it? I would pay them as much as you think is the right amount to really make them passionate, or have just a dedicated team that, hey, you are the team. Look, let's go buy 200 cars. 200 cars. This is how much money's on the table. Go get it.
Buy tiers. You buy 10 cars. Yep. This is what you get per car. It needs to be a pay plan for buying cars.
It needs to be easy for them to complete a transaction, right? Customers need it done easy, right? It can't be like, okay, 7 days later, we finally got your check for your car, because there's a disconnect between accounting and a disconnect between the buying center, right? It's got to be a connected process. Like, hey, these are expedited. I need to, if I have someone that I'm trying to buy a car from, I need to have a process I can have a check in hand, in an hour, right? I mean, it needs to be that quick to be able to purchase a car.
Processes are so broken.
Yeah, they are. I know for sure. It's not a lot of communication that goes on. So I think you definitely would need dedicated personnel to run it the most effective way, right? I think it doesn't need to be a lot of people, but you have maybe 1 or 2 buyers and one person that can really teach someone that knows how to buy cars, right? That can mentor and groom those people to become good buyers and make decisions kind of autonomously to an extent, right? Within they can log into a system and look at all the numbers and percentages, right? So, hey, if it's out of here, maybe call your senior manager on the buying center and let him look at the car and try to make a judgment. But if it falls in these parameters based on the data, which every dealership has data, every dealership has systems, they can pretty much put a number on a car. I mean, I think I'm not a car guy, but I could probably go in there and appraise some cars, right? I don't think it's rocket science putting money on cars anymore. I think it's important to know what you sell well and what you can make more money on as a dealership, because you can pay more for those cars, right? Versus cars you don't sell well. Like our dealership doesn't do necessarily well with like sedans. It could be the best sedan in the world, the nicest, the lowest miles, and it could go down the street to a Honda dealership and they'd sell it in 30 seconds. But it might sit here for 60 days, right? So that's a car, you're going to pay less for at your dealership, right? But you can teach someone that. So I think it's important to have that set up where you have the processes you're getting, and then you can invest advertising dollars into it, because advertising can't fix everything, right? You can funnel customers to try to sell cars to a dealership, but if they have no process, if they have no one that acts like they care about taking that car in, then the customer's just going to leave there frustrated and like go to another place. I'm not going to say the name, where they make it easier to sell a car, right? So step your game up, dealers. If you're hurting for inventory, if you're saying I can't find cars at auctions, the auction prices are tough. Even with, like I said, I just saw recently wholesale prices are declining on most segments besides vans and like minivans and full-size vans are the only segments kind of hanging steady. But all the other segments are seeing decreased wholesale pricing on the used market. So if you're having trouble buying cars, now's the time to put a strategy in place, right? Not every store is a franchise dealership with a huge volume that can have a lot of trade-ins, right? So if you're a smaller volume franchise store, you really need to have a good acquisition strategy. If you're an independent store, you need to have a good acquisition strategy from the street without relying on auctions. There are stores out there I know acquiring 100% of their cars off the street and selling hundreds of cars a month.
Yeah, so there needs to be a dedicated team that just scours the internet for cars.
Yeah, I mean, there's already programs and tools. There's there's plenty of things that make it easy to see every listing everywhere and contact customers, right? We have tools where we can log in and see every privately listed sale on cars.com, on AutoTrader, on Craigslist, on Facebook, right? And it's all in one system. You can filter based on what you want. I want to acquire these type of vehicles that will only show those vehicles for sale, right? And then you can literally communicate through one system. So it's out there. That technology is available. There's several companies that offer it. Definitely, but before any technology or advertising, it's always people and process, 100%, or else you're just wasting money.
All right, so we're doing our segment, close of the week. We're going to try to continue to do that weekly.
I love it. It's my favorite. I keep prodding him about it. I'm like, we got to keep doing it. We got to keep doing it.
I believe that words are powerful.
Yes.
And words put together in the right way, with the right cadence, and with the right delivery, it can move mountains. And we're just selling cars here, so it can't be that hard.
Yeah, so, exactly.
But one of my favorite closes, the Feeding Families close. It is.
Write that down.
John, when you sign here, you're not only buying a car that you're going to enjoy, but you are feeding families. Your contribution here helps a lot of people and their loved ones. Can we agree on this number here?
Yeah, when we put it like that, I think the deal sounds fair.
All right, sign right here.
All right. That's how it's done, ladies and gentlemen, right there.
John should feel amazing about this deal.
Yeah.
Customers should feel amazing about when they're buying cars, and the contribution really does help a lot of people.
Yeah.
It not only helps the salesperson, it helps the finance manager, it helps the GM, helps the parts manager, helps the service manager, it helps accounting, it helps the cleanup people, it helps the guys who cleans the cars. It helps a lot of people, and
one deal really does feed. One deal doesn't feed families, but accumulation of a lot of deals feeds a lot of families, right? And it is true. And I think we were just talking about, a lot of people, don't necessarily see that side of the car business, right? They don't see how many people the car business impacts and the ecosystem in that, and that one dealership may directly impact 1,000 people, right? Between the people that work there, work for, do business with, the families of those people, the immediate families, and then those people go out and participate in the local economy. They support your small business. They purchase, the food from your restaurant that you have. I mean, they're out there spending their money that, it's all one big ecosystem, right? So it's not just some big corporation, the evil empire, right, where it's us against them. It's, hey, you're looking to get a fair deal on a car. A dealership should make a fair profit, right? They are feeding families. They are supporting a large ecosystem of the economy, and automotive is one of the biggest drivers of the economy.
It is.
I mean, hands down. I think it was last year they were talking about, it was automotive's fault for inflation in a lot of cases, right? They were blaming automotive, the rising prices, and it wasn't automotive's fault that manufacturers weren't producing as many cars, and there were supply chain shortages and all these things that were going into it. But that was the perception, was that, hey, we can't get inflation down because it's automotive's fault, right? They're the biggest driving impact of automotive real estate. So I think it's a big important close, and it's impactful today. And I think people can resonate. And look, it's not about closing customers, right? It's about, you've got the right car for them. That's what they're looking for. You've got a fair deal. They just need help.
They need a different way of thinking.
Yeah.
A different way of step them out of their box a little bit. Let them think. Let them step back a little bit. Oh, okay. Well, we've gone back and forth for over a month, and I'm still asking for more discounts, and this guy's saying that my contribution here helps a lot of people. Well, maybe I should rethink my offer.
100%.
Words are powerful. Use them.
Yes. So, one thing I saw an article. I like to just kind of browse around and see what's going on, and it was actually out on my phone. I'll pull it up here. But it was about iPhone just announced. It was a couple weeks ago when they did some enhancements and things they were announcing, that they're going to have a program on their phone with the ability to speak in your voice within minutes of training, and precisely 15 minutes of training. So 15 minutes of, hey, here's this line, read this to me. Okay, here's this line, read this to me. Say, let me hear your voice. They're going to be able to synthesize your voice so that it sounds like you. So my first thought was, that could be cool in some scenarios. Like, what if you're at the end of your life and you want to leave a special message for loved ones, right? And you want them to be able to consistently hear your voice, play this message, have your sound, versus like just saving a voicemail on a phone, right? Which I know a lot of people do. That could be a cool way to do it. Then I also immediately thought, like, man, that's kind of creepy, right? A program can use my voice and talk like me, right? I mean, in criminal cases, would that throw any voice technology recognition systems like out the window, right? Things that are, is this person? Can we confirm this is a voice match? Well, if a program can make my voice, you can't ever have voice matches anymore, right? There's a whole ecosystem and privacy. What can someone come against you and drop a recording about you with something you didn't say to impact your business, like a competitor of your business, right?
That's already happening.
Yeah.
There's already conversations between like Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson. It sounds like a podcast, and it's completely AI. Kanye, there's some guy there's some songs going viral on TikTok that are completely AI. That sounds completely like Drake. It's not Drake. It is AI. And
you just recently listened to a podcast or something, right? Where you said it was
a
couple guys debating.
I listened to a podcast, a clip of a podcast between Bill Gates and Socrates.
Wow, interesting. I didn't even know they were alive at the same time.
Yeah. So what all these systems are doing? They're feeding your voice clips, and this has been out for a minute.
Yeah.
It looks like iPhone is just adding it
as a feature. Yeah.
That's really cool, actually. I like that a lot. Couple of things. One, it's the music industry is gonna be interesting, and the podcast, especially with like celebrities. I wonder if they're gonna be able to figure out a smart way to monetize this. Because I did hear about one artist, Grimes, I believe. Is that how you say her name?
I think so. Yeah.
The chick who dated Elon Musk and I think has a baby with him. I'm not sure. I think she's all into AI. Okay. She actually leaned into it, and she's like, you know what? If you record a song and you use my voice, just pay me, and then you can still do it.
Yeah.
I wonder how many artists are gonna, instead of fighting it and why don't you embrace it? Maybe there's a way.
Yeah, monetize it, right?
Find a way to monetize. Maybe I don't know. Like Drake's voice kind of is like, these are some major artists, man.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody can start making their songs, how valuable
are their songs, right? Yeah, that's true.
I wonder if that's the thing. Another thing I did see, and I don't know if I saw this or if I'm making this up, or if I want this to happen. It's like, it's somebody
I'm sure our followers will tell us if we're incorrect. So we're good there.
Something about reading an old letter, so that you have voice clippings of somebody that passed away in your family, and you have old voices of them. You have voice clippings, and let's say if they have like a letter or something they wrote for you, and they're passing. You actually want them to speak the letter to you. You can feed the AI all the old clippings, and it can actually generate an actual the letter.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. As like you said, as long as they've got to have enough clips of enough words, right, to make it all work. But
they do that at Walt Disney. I think Walt Disney made a speech. I mean, there's all kinds of things happening with AI right now. It is, if you're following anything, especially if you're on Twitter, AI Twitter, it is wildness.
Sure.
Right now, Photoshop came out with something where it generated fill, where it takes like a small picture, like say the Nirvana cover of the baby that's swimming to the dollar. What it'll do, you just take a picture and it guesses what the rest of the picture will be, and it just fills in the rest of it. And you're seeing like all these like Mona Lisa zoomed out. You're seeing the Nirvana cover zoomed out. Pink Floyd cover zoomed. All these like cool. The generated fill. It is just filling in what AI thinks it should be, and it is incredible. You are not able to tell the difference. It is mind blowing. So things are happening in AI right now. So you can get freaky real soon. I heard this one guy who translated an entire podcast of in another language by just using their voice. Like these guys do not speak. It was a podcast that was translated Hindi, the language of India, and it is their voice speaking in Hindi, and it is mind blowing. So crazy things coming.
Maybe coming to burning gas soon.
Yeah, translated
in 50 languages. Sure. Whatever.
Russian.
You get a whole worldwide audience.
Oh
yes, a Russian voice.
You're speaking. That'll be wild. I would love to see that. That's crazy things. Right? If you need to be paying attention to AI, man, it's really fun stuff happening.
Oh yeah, no. I every single time I go just to do any research or look anywhere, it's just that's what the topic is. AI this, AI that. Oh, we're introducing this. Oh, we're rebranding our company. Oh, this is why you need to use us because. We're integrating with ChatGPT, and I'm kind of like in my mind, blah blah blah. You're all saying the same shit. Like it's some people need to start to differentiate themselves, and I think
if you're a company right now, you're not saying the word AI. You're just not.
You're a dinosaur, right? In my mind, if you're not finding ways to incorporate it. And look, one topic I want to have a little rant on, we kind of end on, is just. Man, I work with a lot of automotive companies, and you have experience working with automotive companies directly in your position and software and things that just some enhancements you might want to see. And there's just so little innovation from certain companies in automotive, right? Yeah. DMS companies, CRM companies. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to drop names. I'm not going to get any companies mad at me here, but it's just the truth. There is stagnation in automotive. There's barriers of entry in automotive, having to write a check to get access. Maybe some companies and don't want to hop into automotive because they don't want to do that. They don't want to have all the barriers. They want to have open APIs. They don't want to have walled gardens, right? And we're seeing that. But you're also seeing the boom in automotive, and I see it. I constantly look at new companies and what they're offering, and hey, can we incorporate this? Okay, maybe it's something in the future we can use. But those companies are fully open. They're like, we want to integrate with everything. We want to, have full open APIs with full sharing, right? And let's make it better for the dealer, the customers. Let's make it better for everybody. But they're having fights with the old dinosaurs in the room and the companies that don't want to invest money. And a lot of it is there's not enough people speaking out. I'm in some groups where we kind of try to speak out. We try to say what we think is going on, and we try to get it out there and have conversations about it. And it's something we're going to continue to do here, but they're not getting pushed enough. They're making a lot of money. They're resting on their laurels. You look at some programs, and it's like, dude, you're in like the dot matrix of like 1998, man. What are we doing here? Like this is the ugliest system I've ever looked at. Like we can do better. We're a huge industry. There's lots of money invested in it. Invest more into making your product better. Invest more into helping your dealer partners with real solutions. Talk to your dealers. There's not enough companies that actually talk to the dealers and get feedback from dealers on, hey, what should we do? What could we improve? they just sit in a boardroom and say, hey, this is what we're going to do today, and we're going to tell dealers it works, right? Like, there needs to be collaboration. And for manufacturers, let your dealers that want to experiment, that want to try new things, do it, right? Don't put so many, don't hold them back with restrictions. Like, you won't get assistance from us. You won't get co-op money. You won't get advertising support because you won't use this website vendor, or you won't have this company or sign up for this product. Don't force, if your dealer's a good dealer and they're selling a lot of cars and they have good CSI, and they have good strategies, let those dealers push the envelope. Let them partner with who they want to partner with. And then the problem is the manufacturers necessarily don't want to share their information with everybody and the data they have. Like, they want to have select partners and force funnel their dealers into it. So every dealer is sort of similar and doing similar things, but push the envelope. I just wish there was more collaboration, more open APIs, more access. And that's my little 3-minute rant on one way we can make automotive better for everybody.
Yeah, these companies need to ship out. They constantly need to be thinking of how they're going to make their product better.
Yep.
They need to be thinking about shipping features every few months. Like, what else can we do? How else can we innovate? Because there's some CRM systems that there's good features on one that I would like to combine 3 or 4 and make it into like a super CRM.
Yeah.
Someone needs to work on like Open Auto. That's a good name for a CRM or DMS company. Open Auto. It's like OpenAI, but Open Auto. Everything is open and collaborative, and come up with something really, really neat.
100%.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's the pod.
That's episode 4.
All right, so this is what we need you to do. If you're listening to on Spotify or iTunes, wherever you're listening, subscribe or follow. That helps us out a lot, and it just helps us get in front of more people, and hopefully we continue to do this. And if you like the conversation, share it with your, you have coffee talk at work, talk about burning gas and talk about what you heard on it, and spread the news to other people, right?